Fred Ogola that wants to offer himself to serve the people of Kenya as president. It's a great honor to have you, Prof. After a very long time, we get to meet on set. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Linda.
Yes, but today, on a Solomonic aspect of changing the economy of this particular nation, it is one thing to offer yourself. It is one thing to, declare your interest. It's another to be cleared by the IEBC. I want to trust that you have looked into what is expected of you as a presidential contender, and that you are clear that the IEBC is likely or is going to clear you. Upon clearance, what would you want Kenyans to understand about this individual that seeks to get, take on the highest office of the land? Who is Fred Ogola?
Yeah, Fred Ogola is at the moment a strategist, economist, and governance expert. And those things, as you hear them, strategist, economist, and governance expert, it's what Kenya does not have. But he's a homegrown boy. I was born in Uganda. I went to school in Kenya. I went to school in Uganda. I went to school abroad. But I came back to work in Kenya. I've been a professor in Strathmore for 12 years. Now I'm a deputy vice chancellor at Uzima University. But I've also seen life in Kenya. I've been an activist. I've been on the street, been arrested, seen problems. And I've evolved from being a professor of strategy to an activist on the street, to an advocate in High Court, looking at matters justice. But now we have come to leadership where I'm a party leader of a Kim Alliance party. I have already developed an economic model called Evolve, which will turn around the Kenyan economy. And I've even set up a presidential advisory team. I call them Team Evolve. And now I'm getting a lot of traction. Like the week that we lost Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, I was in Juba, engaging the government of Juba on how to cure the debt that is killing Africa. Last week I was in Kigali. It's the same thing that took me to Kigali. And tomorrow I'm flying to New York to go and make a public lecture in Fordham University, the largest university in the largest city. And I'm sure if you can be able to talk about economic evolution from third world to first world for Africa before a giant city like New York, what about being a president of Kenya?
And in his wisdom, Nyerere speaks of, those ones that wish to be president. I know he was president, and one would want to look at that statement as ironic. But he says he does not envy, he does not understand why people, literally scramble or literally try their level best, put their hearts, their minds and everything to want to be president. That is a very difficult task, to see your people languishing in poverty. I mean, this is a gentleman that we live by his words, his deeds, and he acknowledges that this is quite a tough task. Why would you want to take this particular one? Why would you imagine that you would be that one person that would give us a turnaround on the economy, let alone many other things?
Linda, there are different types of men and women. There are those we call family men who talk about, I want to take my wife to a salon. They talk about kids and the rest. We respect them. They talk about family all the time. Those are family men. There's a second type of man or woman called corporate woman or man. They talk about, I have to have a meeting, corporate meetings, I have to go resubmit a report and the rest. But they are satisfied with that corporate thing. But there's called a noble man. A noble man or noble woman want to do something noble, and this is a noble call, and therefore I believe I have that novelty. I have been, as a young boy, champion some of the greatest things. Linda, when I was a young boy in Uganda, when I'm the sixth one of in a family that could not even afford food, we were brought up in Kibera, in Katrekera. My father earned $15 a month. Now, $15 a month, living in Kibera, 11 kids, being the sixth one, I dreamt of being a professor. And now you can find, if I'm being given a chance to give a public lecture in New York, could you not consider me as a world-class professor, if not a leading African scholar? Can you champion such a thing easily? So that journey should prove to Kenya what I'm made of, the iron I'm made of.
And we'll come to...
And the issue is not just about me.
Right.
The issue is that the vision I have for Kenya is much bigger than me, is much bigger than the individuals. In fact, in this competition, I don't consider competing with individuals. We are competing on who can solve the Kenyan problem, which me and my team have identified that is economic, And that's why you told me writing a book called Solomonic Economics, long time ago. It was published. You've read it. People have read it. It is what has made me to be able to go to the stage, the global stage like New York City, to discuss about the same thing. Before economists, remember New York is the headquarters for World Bank is there. We shall find UN there. We find big institutions coming to listen to me on this topic. Fordham University is the most decorated university that has got International Department of Politics and Economy. For them to invite me looking at my contribution is great. But then let me tell you something again, Linda. When I was a student in Europe, I was invited by European Central Bank during the global financial crisis to solve the problems of the pigs. Pigs were simply 4 countries which were going under in Europe. 1, P, Greece, I, Italy, G, P is Portugal, I, Italy, G, Greece, and S, Spain. I helped turn them around. That's why my name is written somewhere in European Central Bank and in the economic landscape to have done something that was difficult for the white people to do. And if that is what is the problem in Kenya economy, why not have the chance to be trusted with it? And let me tell you, we have politicians who promise us to take us to Singapore, but they're not economists. Singapore has the most decorated economist as its president. Is Kenya having its most decorated economist in charge of the country? Maybe he's a botanist. Maybe there have been lawyers. Maybe there have just been politicians. But Kenyan problem is not political. The Kenyan problem is economic. And you cannot use a political tool to solve economic problem. And therefore, you cannot use political experts to solve economic problem. And because I'm an economist who has practiced, then I offer myself that I can solve the Kenyan problem.
And we come back to understand whether indeed the Kenyan problem is just economics and whether if you get it right, then we get every other thing right. But equally, we seek to understand what is this desire to get acknowledgement from the West, because we see the kind of excitement that most of presidential contenders or even presidents, they get, the kind of excitement they get, upon being invited to offer, or to give their speeches on certain issues about Africa and their particular country, Chatham, and now you're talking about Fordham, and then we get to understand the significance of it and how do we appreciate and celebrate this without, appearing to being excited about the endorsement of the West, which is basically what the African countries have strived to run away from. We take a short break and then we come back to understand the significance of your travel there. After this break.